Have you ever feel lack of appetite or lack of motivation and energy to do things that you used to love to do? Have you ever feel restless sleep, insomnia? Or have you ever feel the inability to learn new things, process information and retain information? Or even worse, have you ever feel this loneliness or worthless? Just you can't find purpose of living in this world. If the answer is yes to any of these questions, then you might have been a victim of depression. Statistically speaking, 350 million people have suffered depression worldwide. Right? That makes depression our #1 enemy when it comes to mental health. Also brings me here to talk to you about how exercise can be an effective treatment for depression. Right? The book of Art of War, the author Sun Tzu once mentioned, in order for you to win a battle, you have to know your enemy and know yourself. So in the first part of my speech, we're going to talk about why and how is depression affect us. Right? The next part of my speech is going to be how and why is exercising a good treatment for depression. Now, why is depression? Why do we feel depressed? Study shows that we feel depressed because the lack of these two chemicals right here. Right? These two chemicals known as serotonin and dopamine. Okay? Now, how do they trigger, how lack of insufficient serotonin and dopamine triggers the symptoms, depression symptoms? I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to start with serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. So its function is to transmit messages between brain cell to brain cell. Okay? Now, study shows a low level of serotonin hinders the message transferring between one cell to another, which causes insomnia or restless sleep. And the reason behind it is we all know that we have different parts of brain in our brain, right? Now, you have one part of the brain is tired and wants to go to sleep, but that message can't get across to the other side of the brain efficiently. So now you have one side of the brain, it's sleepy and tiring, and another side of the brain is wide awake. That's why you will suffer from insomnia. Okay. Now, serotonin, low level of serotonin is also responsible for negative cognitive ability. And the reason why is pretty simple too. Now, when you receive the information, right, the part of the brain that receives information have to transfer that information to the part of the brain that processes information. Okay. Now, throughout the processing process, because of the low level of serotonin, it hinders the process. Now, the processing part of the brain is not receiving the whole picture and a clear picture of how it's supposed to be, which results in you having a harder time to learn new things. Right? Same thing with memorizing. Now, when the processing part of the brain want to transfer the information to the storage part of the brain, some information gets lost in between. Now you have a hard time memorizing things. Right? Serotonin is also known to affect your mood. Right? Why? It's pretty self-explanatory. If I can't have a good night of sleep, I can't learn things the way I'm supposed to be efficiently, and I can't memorize things that I need to memorize, I'm going to look stupid and I'm going to have a bad day. Right? Now let's move on. Dopamine. Dopamine is the same thing. It's a neurotransmitter, but mainly its function is to transmit pleasurable sensation throughout the brain cells. So lack of dopamine is going to cause what? Lack of appetite. Why? Because lack of dopamine means less pleasurable sensation is going to be transferred to the brain. So when you eat delicious food, you don't feel as pleasurable as before, because now that pleasurable sensation is being dumbed down. Okay? Dopamine, lack of dopamine is also responsible for what? For lack of motivation and energy to do things they used to love to do. Why? Because the way our brain works is gets motivation and drive to do things is because our brain, through the memory, we remember that, hey, doing this is going to bring me pleasurable sensation. So if you take pleasurable sensation out of the picture, you no longer have the drive and motivation to do what you used to love to do. Right? Now, dopamine, like serotonin, is also responsible for your mood. Because if you can't eat delicious, you can't enjoy eating delicious food, you can't enjoy doing things that you used to love to do, and what's the purpose of life, right? Now we've talked about how and why do we get depressed. We're gonna move on and talk about how and why is exercising helping depression, right? Now exercise produces this chemical called endorphin, and also regulates the production of cortisol, which is stress hormone, right? So let's start with cortisol. Stress hormone is released, it's produced by your brain when a person is undergoing a stressful situation. So its function is to have your mind focusing on the stressful situation and disregard the rest. Pleasurable sensation, you need those things, right? So out of the way, now you focus on the stressful situation at this moment. Right? Now, study shows that the higher level of the cortisol is in your body, the lower level of the serotonin and dopamine is in your brain. So which cortisol, the stress, is going to cause you have all these chemical imbalances, which will trigger all these symptoms, right? Exercising will reduce the cortisol being produced, which means the lower the cortisol we have in our brain, the higher the serotonin and dopamine we're going to have in our brain, which can alleviate all these symptoms because you no longer have those chemical imbalances anymore. Okay. Also, exercises release endorphin, like we mentioned earlier. Endorphin is another chemical, right? Your body releases endorphin for two major functions. One is to mask the sensation of pain. The second function is to reward your body, your brain. Bring this pleasurable sensation to reward your brain for such positive behavior. Because your brain knows that exercise is doing good to your body, so it releases endorphin, so you want to do it again, pretty much. It's a reward system. Now also, exercises also work as a perfect weapon to combat depression because your body has a self-repair mechanism, right? So when you exercise, when you break down your body so bad, your brain is gonna tell yourself that, you know what, I need sleep to recover. So your sleep quality will go up, right? Now, it also tells you what, I need food and nutrition to recover as well. So your appetite will go up, right? Now, it also tells your body that, hey, you know what, I need more energy so I can prepare myself for the next exercises or whatever comes to my way in the future. So your energy will go up once when you recover from the exercises. Okay? Exercises is also shown in study that it enhances your ability to learn and memorize information. Okay? Also, exercising will, rising up your mood. Because hey, if all my chemical is balanced, I sleep well, I eat well, and I learn like a champ, I'm gonna feel like $1 million and feel good about myself, right? So now all these facts and evidence point to one fact that exercising is an effective way to combat depression. Right? That concludes my speech. Now we're gonna roll right into the question and answer period. Do any one of you have any questions?
Yes, what type of exercises would you recommend?
Okay, so from the research, I have done, usually the doctor will recommend us to do some running, some type of aerobic exercise like running, cycling, or swimming. I also found this very interesting video. It's made by Elio Host. He is a fitness coach on YouTube channel. So I'll have the link down in my reference, so you guys can go check it out. Okay, so he talks about these exercises / meditation. So the first exercise to talk about is to break up your breath patterns. So you know how when we breathe, we have a pattern. So you want to break your breath patterns. Pretty much breathe really hard and breathe out of rhythm. That's the first exercise. The second exercise that he recommends will be just let go. Let go. Because this idea behind is, hey, being depressed means you're being depressed. You're not doing much. And the opposite of depressed is express. So he wants you to express yourself as freely as possible. only second exercises. So it pretty much is you can shout, you can yell if you want to, you can go in ballistic. The third exercises will be just tranquilize, just lie down on the floor and not move a muscle. Right? The fourth exercise will be grounding. So you pretty much jump up and down and making all these noises, you know, make you feel grounded to the floor. And lastly, he recommend us to play music and dance. Just dance with the music. And I would recommend you guys try it as well because I have tried myself and I find it very interesting and it's kind of helpful. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
Other than high levels of cortisol, is there any other ways, like you have low levels of serotonin and dopamine?
Yes, you know, so genetically, it can be a genetic factors in there. You can just genetically have a lower serotonin and dopamine in your system because your parents or your grandparents have such gene, you know. But see, that are the things that we cannot change because genetically we can't really change it. So there's no point of us focusing on that. We should focusing on things that we have control over, which is what we can do to change our condition. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Any more questions?
What are some other symptoms of depression?
Well, there are actually a lot of symptoms of depression. So one of the symptoms that I can think right off the bat would be, you know, having suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts and having thoughts of harming yourself or others. You know? And I have a reference as well. So underneath my link, I'll have underneath my my video, I'll have references that you can go check it out. See what are the other symptoms that indicates that you have depression. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any more questions or? Okay, that concludes my speech. Thank you very much for your time.